Welcome back to Stuttering Sports. Today is May 19th, 2021, and the topic for today is the Pittsburgh Steelers off-season review. How did they do, and what effect will this have on the 2021 season? But I mean, you've read the title, you've seen the thumbnail. Spoilers alert, I think it was a strange off-season, which does not mean bad. It just doesn't mean great. So without further ado, let's get right into it. The plan for this video is to talk about the free agency haul. Who did they gain? Who did they lose? Then I'm going to transition to the draft, talk about the roster as a whole, and kind of give a prediction for the 2021 season. A very vague one because it's not the official prediction. So, starting off with free agency, I made a video about 2 months back with the title, The Steelers Botched Free Agency. Do I still feel this way? Kind of. Because we all knew Pittsburgh was going to lose a lot. Pittsburgh had no money and we had a lot of free agents. So losing Bud Dupree, Mike Hilton, they were definitely blows, but hey, like, you had to do what you had to do. But there have been recent developments since that video was made. Pittsburgh re-signed Tyson Alualu, and then since cutting Vince Williams, they brought back Vince Williams. We re-signed Robert Spillane, which all three are fantastic moves. They are all great moves. So do I think they botched it? No, but the sentiment of the video, basically saying I think re-signing Juju was a bad idea, kind of still remains. Not because, it's the TikTok boy, but because Pittsburgh didn't need to spend $8 million for a wide receiver. Wide receiver is not the need with Pittsburgh, because I would have personally enjoyed seeing James Washington with an increased role. I do really like Juju, by the way. He is a great slot receiver, and a lot of people call him very overrated, but I think with all the TikTok hate going his way that he's actually become pretty underrated. He is a fantastic receiver, and he works well with Pittsburgh, but the point of it was that Pittsburgh did not need a wide receiver. I'm very happy that Juju came back for less money given the circumstance, but I don't think Pittsburgh needed Juju back. There was a lot of different things that the Steelers could have done that I would have been very, very happy with, such as kind of looking more towards the secondary. Pittsburgh, they already declined the 5th-year option for Terrell Edmunds, and well, you lost Mike Hilton. Re-signing Cam Sutton was a big re-signing. You know, he's not a great player, but we definitely needed him back. Pittsburgh cut Steven Nelson. So yeah, I do think pointing cap space towards the secondary would have been a better idea than re-signing Juju. But without a doubt, the best thing that Pittsburgh could have done this free agency period was look at the running back signing for like $2-3 million. Pittsburgh could have signed, I've said this in multiple videos now, so you might be tired of hearing it. Pittsburgh could have signed Mike Davis and Jamal Williams for less than what Juju signed for. Tell me that's not a better running back room than Najee Harris. And we're going to get to Najee Harris later, but I do really like Najee Harris, by the way. But Mike Davis plus Jamal Williams would have been awesome for like $6 million total. That's a fucking snag for a running back room. That goes from terrible, worst in the league, to good and dynamic with 2 good running backs with just $6 million. So yeah, I do think Pittsburgh's free agency was good nonetheless, bringing back Robert Spillane, Vince Williams, Cam Sutton. I do think Pittsburgh's free agency was fine. I have nothing really against it. It would have been nice to see the running back room get better through free agency, but I'm not upset by it. I do think Juju is very good. Then, you know, given the circumstance, we knew that we were going to lose Mike Hilton plus Bud Dupree. So, you know, bringing back Vince, Spillane, and Alualu and Cam Sutton, that's a great foursome to bring back. I'm all for it. Now to transition over to the draft. During my Steelers draft preview video, I did say I don't want a running back first round. Pittsburgh did draft a running back first round. So just a little disclaimer before I talk about the draft. I do not think Najee Harris and Pat Freiermuth are going to be bad. I do think they will be 2 good players, which means they are not bad draft picks. I just personally think that Pittsburgh had the wrong focus. So, with that being said, please do not type angry fucking comments, hint at every Bengals fan, saying that I think that like Najee and Freiermuth are going to be trash, because I think they're going to be good. I just think the focus was in the wrong places. So yeah, just to put it bluntly, I think that waiting to draft the offensive line until late third round and fourth round was dumb. I think that was pretty bad, especially when Jalen Mayfield and Creed Humphrey were sitting there in the second round. Now, I do think Kendrick Green was a good pick, plus I have not done much research on Dan Moore Jr., but I do think Kendrick Green was a good pick. But I would have preferred to have Landon Dickerson during the first or Creed Humphrey during the second. I would have loved to see Christian Darrisaw during the first, but the Vikings fucked that over. I would have loved to see Tevin Jenkins during the first. I would have loved to see Wyatt Davis during the second. So I do think that Pittsburgh neglecting the offensive line to the third round was definitely bad. Pittsburgh's offensive line was bad last year. It was fucking terrible. So who's going to block for Najee Harris? We got to hope that Kevin Dotson, Zach Banner, Okafor, Kendrick Green, and David DeCastro really hold it down with those first four guys really progressing with their run blocking, because Pittsburgh's run block last year was fucking atrocious. So I think Najee Harris and Pat Freiermuth will be good. I just think neglecting the offensive line to the third round, which I like Kendrick Green, but Landon Dickerson was there in the first. I would have really liked that. But I think Pittsburgh, with that being said, I do think Pittsburgh finished the draft in a very strong fashion. Having Quincy Roche in the 6th round, that is a steal. Buddy Johnson during the 4th round. Then you got Isaiah Loudermilk during the 5th. Those are definitely defensive depth guys that I really want to see start in about 2-3 years. So I do think those were 3 really good late round picks. So to recap the draft talk, I don't think Najee Harris and Pat Freiermuth were bad picks. I also don't think that that's Le'Veon Bell and Heath Miller. I would have much rather had some offensive linemen during the 1st and or 2nd round. That would have been very nice to me, but I think Kendrick Green was a good pick. I just think Pat Freiermuth during the 2nd, he will be a good player. I just think that was a bad pick because Jalen Mayfield and Creed Humphrey who are on the board, and we don't have a good tight end room. We are stuck with Eric Ebron, but I think that we could have definitely put it off until the 3rd, 4th round, especially seeing how far Jordan Brevin fell. So I do think that the draft was fine. I think that we got a bunch of good players, but I think it's clear that Pittsburgh going win now, which is exactly what Pittsburgh's doing this offseason. We're kind of putting the chips into Ben last year is not a very good move. That is shown especially through Najee Harris and Pat Freiermuth that we're going in this year with these guys. And it's not a bad move to me because I think it helps win now. But in 2 years, when the offensive line is potentially dog shit, it's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, kind of going over the roster as a whole now, I'm going to kind of pick spots, kind of sticking with the offensive line. I do think the tackle position is really interesting because Pittsburgh has confidence in Zach Banner. Pittsburgh's got a lot of confidence with him, and I think that is bold. Not because he's bad, but because he was hurt last year, and now he's thrusted into right tackle in the same division as now Trey Hendrickson. The Ravens always have a very good front 4, front 7, and we obviously know the Browns have Myles Garrett. I think that's interesting. I don't think that's great. Maybe we can run some multiple tight end sets with Freiermuth and Ebron to kind of add more blocking. That would be cool to me. But I do think right tackle with Zach Banner, that is interesting. He's being thrusted into that spot. I do trust Mike Tomlin with this. I mean, fucking obviously, because who am I? I'm just a fan. But I do think Zach Banner being starting right tackle is bold. Then when you look at the center battle, we obviously talked about Kendrick Green, who has that great athleticism that Pittsburgh drafted during the 3rd round. But it is definitely a battle between him, B.J. Finney, who returned back to Pittsburgh, and J.C. Hassenauer. I would hope Kendrick Green would win this because B.J. Finney was bad at center and J.C. Hassenauer did not play last year. So I think regardless, Kendrick Green should play. That would be awesome. He's a 3rd round pick. We just lost Marquise Pouncey. Can we please get Kendrick Green starting? That would be sick. Then kind of going back to the defense. I guess going to the defense, not going back. But looking at that front four, losing Bud Dupree was a massive loss. But I think that Alex Highsmith is ready to take that spot. I don't think he'll be Bud Dupree, by the way. But I think that he had a great rookie year considering his limited role than him being able to break out this year. That is going to be nice to see. To be added Quincy Roche, who I already mentioned was a steal during the 6th round. Maybe he can... I hope he'll get playing time next year. Not as the starter, but I do hope he'll get some reps. Then, with the secondary, Pittsburgh secondary, this is what I want to get to. It's looking weird. Cutting Steven Nelson and losing Mike Hilton, 2 of the top 3 corners, is never a good thing. It's never a good thing. We already have Terrell Edmonds, who we declined the 5th-year option on. It's gonna be strange. I definitely think Cam Sutton should take that number 2 cornerback role, and then Justin Lane should take that nickelback role. A bunch of people like James Pierre, I personally haven't seen much of him yet. A bunch of people think he was gonna take that next step into the nickelback. I do personally hope so, because the secondary, the cornerbacks, it's not looking good when you're in the same division as the Browns, who have every weapon known to man. The Bengals, they just added Jamar Chase. They already had T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. And shit, the Ravens, I'm not going to say they're tight. I'm not going to say their wide receiver room's great, but they did just add a 1st-round wide receiver, and I do think Hollywood Brown is nothing to scoff at. So I hope the whole Justin Lane situation with him being arrested for gun charges, that kind of seemed to fade away. They did reach a plea deal or something. I don't know how that stuff works. But I do think that he'll be back for next season, which is very good. But I do think Joe Hayden, if he does start to regress this year, oh my goodness, that secondary, with the exception for Minka, is going to be hard to watch. We're going to be back in 2016. But yeah. Overall, I think Pittsburgh's going to be good next year. I don't think Ben's elbow is falling off. I hope that bringing in a new offensive coordinator means running the ball. I hope that Najee Harris turns out to be great. I know some fans I tried to avoid this as much as possible, probably think I don't like Najee Harris just because I don't like the pick. No. Najee Harris is good. He will be good. There's a reason why he was a 1st-round running back. He will be good. I just hope that the offensive line is serviceable enough to make up for picking a running back during the 1st, then a tight end during the 2nd. That is all I can hope for. Ben's old. Gotta hope for the best. The defense will be fine. I think losing Bud Dupree was a big blow, but shit, dude. Stephon Tuitt, Cameron Hayward, Devin Bush is coming back. We already brought back Vince Williams. Thank God. Spillane. Oh my goodness. Highsmith's going to get that bigger role. It's just the secondary I'm very concerned about. With the offense is going to be fine next year. Especially with that wide receiver room. Once again, bringing back Juju was interesting to me. I think there were better options out there. Not in the wide receiver room, but with other positions. But I do think we have 4 good young wide receivers. And shit, dude. Deontay Johnson is going to break out this year. I'm calling it now. He will be a stud in both real life and fantasy next year. So, yeah, that's going to do it for me today. Pittsburgh had a strange offseason, which does not mean bad. It just does not mean great. So, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one. And, yeah, trying to Tokyo drift to 1,000 subs. That'd be fucking cool to hit that within the next, month. But I hope you enjoyed and have a great day.